Hey there, it's Scott from your academy along with Jason. Welcome again to a special broadcast. This is part one of a two-part series where we're really grateful to be joined by Nate Behar, who's a free agent CFL player, born in London, Ontario, went to Carleton, wide receiver, who has actually become an entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur. And if you're interested in personal branding and taking advantage of what your brand has and earning money on it, listen to part two of the podcast, or I should say webcast. Part one, though, is how do you go about building your personal brand so that employers and influencers recognize the value and will pay you for it? Nate, we're really appreciative that you've given us your time today.
Absolutely, guys. I'm so excited to be here and chat about something. I mean, it's never been more relevant than it is today. So I'm excited to just dive in and hopefully bring some good insight.
Okay. So, just as we get started, we talk about the word brand. We hear it all the time. If I'm not in marketing, I may not know what it is. So, you've spent the last 9 months, if not longer, identifying what brand is. I'm coming to you and asking what brand is for a football player. Can you tell me?
Yes, I mean, it's everything you stand for. It's your messaging, it's your voice, it's who you are and who you've been, and this person that you've built. I mean, brands can be a million things. It can obviously be Nestle or Coca-Cola. That's a brand, but a brand can also be just who you are as a person and your likes, your dislikes, your interests, and what you stand for. I think it's important for people to understand that and wrap their head around the fact that they are a brand, that you are a brand. It's just about curating it or not. I mean, diving into it and really speaking about who you are and learning how to emphasize that and vocalize it, or just sitting by a little idly.
And if I'm not sure what the word curate means, if you could help me out, because I haven't got my Webster's in front of me. What are we really talking about?
Curate just means, make sure that you're doing things that align with it. If you want to be, a vegan food blogger within your football space, then maybe you're not going to be posting about, being at a party or being at a club, because those things don't necessarily mesh. Who you want to be aligned with, the brand that you want to, again, you want to build and breathe life into. You got to make sure that you're sort of being that at all times. Anything outside of it can sometimes take away from your brand. That's not to say that, going out and doing things doesn't have a place in life. It's just about, how you display and the effort you take to, again, curate or make sure that what you're showing online all is in line with the brand you want to be.
Well done. Good start there. Okay. You've got some slides to share with us, don't you?
Absolutely, guys. I'm excited to share. We're going to get them up right now, and let me know if you guys can see them.
Okay. We got her. Yeah, we got her. Yes.
Amazing, guys. So ATNMY is the influencer marketing platform that we've seen. I mean, there'll be another webcast that they'll go into a little more detail about that, but this is all brought to you by our phenomenal team at ATNMY. We're for athletes, by athletes, and everything we do. If there's any questions that pop up from this, feel free to reach out to our team online, and we'll be able to walk you through any of this and hold your hand through the process of building your brand. So what is influencer marketing? I mean, finding out what a brand is, building a personal brand is all well and good, but I want to explain to you the importance and sort of start with the money first. I mean, that's how you pique some people's attention and make sure people are bought in. So influencer marketing is just social media marketing, using endorsements and product mentions for influencers, for people with brands online, with online communities that follow them. Brands partner with influencers because they have a dedicated social following. That can be 1 million people, that can be 10 people, but they're all dedicated to the messaging of that brand or of that person, and of course, in this case, of that athlete. Influencer marketing is most effective because of that high amount of trust. I mean, if your mom and pop watch you talk about what food to eat and how to prepare a nice high protein meal, they're going to trust you because you're a professional athlete. This is what you've been doing for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And your brand is being an athlete and also what you are outside of that. Recommendations from influencers go so far. They serve as that social proof, and they resonate with their audience for that exact reason. I mean, when you talk about a protein company, when you talk about a new workout technique or a new workout trend, people listen to you because they say, okay, they got here because of X. I'm going to listen to it when they talk about X. It's a simple formula, but it's important for athletes to understand that so they can get to the place where they are able to do some influencer marketing and supplement themselves with some extra cash.
Very cool.
So then what is an influencer? I mean, an influencer is somebody that has taken the time to curate their personal brand. Anybody
the word of the day.
Exactly. Anybody with a following that engages with them online. So influencers have earned their title. They have followers who identify with what they stand for how they live their life, from the knowledge they share online. Like my good friend Shy Ross over there, with his PBL. Athletes are incredible influencers because of the trust they have in their communities, which was something we already chatted about and touched on. because who better to believe than the athletes who use the products themselves? It's important to know that, sorry.
It's okay. No, there's always a time delay here, so I don't mean to step over, Nate. I really don't. So you talk about the trust that builds up in the community. So in the athlete's brand, how do you build that trust in community? What would be some of the things you'd recommend to do that?
Staying within your niche, which is a thing we're going to touch on. It's, being consistent, talking about the same things, sort of over and over again, posting about them, whether it's, again, I keep using the idea of whether you're vegan or you're keto or, you're super into cars. Consistently, talking about those same things, making people understand that that's something you actually have knowledge in and you spend a lot of your time and focus on. So they start to say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I know that this is something you're passionate about because I've seen it time and time again.
Where would you fall on doing community volunteer work in terms of building your brand? Because brand is good for influencer marketing, but it's also good for employment opportunities as well. Does community work help build your brand that could flow through to influencer marketing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can use a personal example. I'm on a board of directors with Boys and Girls Club Ottawa. Done some stuff in the community. Myself and Justin Howell have our scholarship program through our camps we run. And because of that, actually a brand that I've been trying to bring in for ATNMY wants to work with me as an influencer because they say, we love what you do in our community. We want to give you money to promote our product because we believe in the messaging and who you are is true. So, I mean, getting out in your community, you're doing great things for your community. There's also that personal benefit that people start to realize, okay, you're a genuine person that cares about things. When you're doing stuff that you don't get a direct kickback from, people start to realize that your voice matters and that you're going to get chances outside of it.
And then the last thing, and I'll be quiet, I promise, for a second. You said the word genuine there, and a lot of people think, brands can be anything I want them to be, but the thought is that it pretty much should be who the authentic you is. Would you agree or disagree with that?
That is absolutely the case. I mean, everyone has a detector, whether we know it or not. We've all had that moment where we hear somebody talk about something and, it just doesn't feel real. You can tell that they're selling something that they don't necessarily believe in. And it's important to not do that. I mean, there's so many niches out there. The world is so wide and so interconnected all at the same time that whatever flag you fly, there's people that fly it with you. It can be as niched as, the tiniest little diet trend somewhere in the world, or it can be, about a certain car that's only made in a certain place in a certain island. But there's going to be people that identify with it and that believe in it, that would want to be a part of your community. So it's important to just be true to you and understand that it's going to work out.
Very cool.
It sounds to me like self-awareness is really important in this whole avenue, and I think you've mentioned that before, haven't you, Nate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just knowing who you are and taking some time to sort of reflect on the stuff that you care about. I mean, if you're looking to, to curate your brand, if you're looking to build out who you're going to be online and that sort of thing, you want to enjoy it. You want to be talking about stuff you like, and don't ever start down this path to, build out stuff and talk about stuff and invest your time in stuff that just doesn't make you happy. It doesn't even make sense. And it's also not going to lead to a positive result. So do the things you love, be honest with yourself, talk about the things that you want to talk about and post about the things you want to post about, and just do the things you want to do. And you will see the most positive kickback for it.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Absolutely. And yeah, just to finish off that point, and this goes in line, because anybody who might think, well, I've only got a couple followers, I don't feel like I'm in this tier, I shouldn't be listening to this webcast. It's important to know there are tiers of influencers, and brands work with all of them. They have different budgets set aside for different ones, and they have different needs for all of them. So it goes from nano, micro, macro, mega, and celebrity. Starting at the top, celebrities are exactly who you think they are. It's the Kendall Jenners and the Kim Kardashians and Cristiano Ronaldo and LeBron James. Nanos are just anybody with under 5,000 followers. They have immense value. Brands know that people at that level, and the people that follow them know them personally. You're not paying somebody to just post to people they've never met before. It's important that those people have that personal connection, and that's why you have real and immense value, because they're going to listen to you when you post about the new jacket you're wearing for winter, or the new socks that you're putting on because they help your blisters. All those little things have value as you scale up. Brands have different needs for different sized influencers. So why become an influencer? Why work in your brand? All these different things is, for one, you're going to build some amazing relationships with brands that you align with, and more importantly, that you believe in. Again, just to kind of piggyback off everything we've talked about, whatever your niche is, I guarantee you there's some businesses out there monetizing it. So if it's that obscure car, there's going to be some car brands out there that you might get to touch base with and maybe build a relationship with. Maybe that's going to lead to employment down the line, or maybe it's just going to be posting about it and getting some free product from somebody you love. You can also get paid for what you post, whether that's in product, again, from brands you love, or in cash that you actually can, throw on a down payment for something, that there's real tangible benefits to this. And also you're just building meaningful relationships in your community. I mean, I can't talk about the times that, somebody I've met technically online through Instagram or Twitter or wherever it is somebody that ends up being a relationship I leverage in real life. Whether it's as simple as, somebody you meet, you go sit down eventually with and have a lunch with, somebody that ends up being a great marketing person you talk to somewhere down the line. But all this community building in this world that is so connected can be so valuable. And that's also going to help you when you're doing things and talking about things that you're actually honestly interested in, because now you're creating relationships with people that share interests, that have, a connection in the corporate world with somebody who shares an interest with you. So these are things that you can benefit from by becoming an influencer.
And sorry, not to cut you off there, but I think it's important to note for the whole academy base, those connections aren't just relevant if you intend on being an influencer for the rest of your life too, right? You mentioned it, but I think it's important to overstate it, in fact, is that those are connections that employment down the line could come from, or whatever other benefit that you might see, right? We're always about positive networks.
And that's exactly it, is that, understanding people that understand the same things you do and like the same things, that's the first step to getting your foot in the door to an interview. That's a warmer seat than if you just come in cold off the street. That's important. I'm not going to go too far into this slide, as we're going to touch on it on our other webcast, but just if anybody's only seeing one and not the other, just a little bit of an idea of what you can sort of make and charge. There's two ways. You charge off a percentage of your followers or based off your engagements. I really implore you to go watch the other webcasts as I go into this with a little bit more detail. But if you want to take a quick little screenshot of your computer or your phone and look at that chart, it'll give you an idea. Essentially, you have 4% of your followers, or you can start at $250 for every 1,000 engagements and sort of scale from there depending on how well you know your audience. So now we get to it. How do you grow it? We talked about what it is, the benefits, but how do you personally grow it? There's a few steps we're going to talk about, 5 main ones, and then 5 sort of subsidiary ones to just sort of think about and keep in the back of your mind. So most importantly, we've talked about it at length, is finding your niche. Everybody watching this just about is going to be a football player. That's great. That is for sure a niche. But what are you outside of that? Are you a gym rat? Are you a meathead? And I say that with complete endearment, with terms of endearment, because I kind of am too. I just like to pick it up and put it down. You're never gonna catch me on a Bosu ball or a yoga ball. I'm gonna be lifting the damn stuff and putting it back down, which is awesome. Are you an artist? Are you a musician? These things, your hobbies, your diets, your regimens, the topics that are your specialized focus, whether it's literature, are your niche. Those are things that you can lean into and help curate your brand even further, because you're always gonna have people following you because of the amazing stuff you do on a Thursday night or a Friday night in Saskatchewan or in Winnipeg or wherever you are. But finding people outside of that, or finding people within that are even more focused on you, because like Wayne Moore here, you're an unbelievable painter, somebody that has just done some unbelievable work with a paintbrush and paint. That is important, because that's also going to allow you to reach new markets and new communities and bring them all into your fold, that you can not even just on a monetary standpoint, but people like we touched on, that you're going to align with and potentially find relationships with down the line. The more you curate your content, again, I keep using that word. I'm so sorry, guys.
It's okay. I think we know what it means.
We know what it means now.
Yeah.
The more you specialize your content, and we're going to touch on that as well, to that niche, the more you're going to grow followers that resonate with it, that agree with it, that believe in the same sort of things. And that very literally equals influence. Next is sort of finding your aesthetic. That's another fancy word. Finding your aesthetic and your voice. They're going to be broken up into 2 that really mesh together. So finding your aesthetic is literally a set of principles underlying and guiding the work of a particular artist. An aesthetic for a painter or for a photographer would be, black and white, or pointillism, all these different fancy terms we could throw out there. But your aesthetic is what you want, just at a high level, what you want your Instagram to look like. I mean, it's not great when you go onto an Instagram and it's just flashes of red over here, and this picture's black and white, and this one's this, and this one's that. And this doesn't mean being an artist. We don't all need to be, art grads to just say, hey, this stuff kind of looks nice together. This is somewhat visually appealing, but that it can be important, because the first thing someone sees when they click on your name and go to your profile is, those first 9 photos that you have, those first 9 squares, and just having an idea and just a slight plan. Again, it's not necessary to be perfect and meticulous and have the exact same acid washed filters on everything, but being able to see it and take a step back and go, these don't all look great together. Again, Jason said, just that little bit of self-awareness is going to go a long way. Finding and taking pride in making sure your profile speaks to who you are and looks good while you do it. And then with that is your brand voice. Finding how do you talk? I mean, how does the brand that you want to be talk? For me, I like to be a little bit witty sometimes, and some dry humor. I like to be a little sarcastic in my captions because that's just who I am. But that's truly and honestly me. I mean, I'm a little bit facetious at times. My partner likes to smack me over the head because when I drag her on a sarcastic analogy that I tell her a myth that she believes for an hour, and I go, I was kidding, by the way. I do the same thing with my Instagram followers because that's who I am. There's no right answer there. Are you informative? Do you just bring knowledge? Are you pensive? Are you thoughtful? Are you mysterious? Do you want people to always be reading your captions going, wait, I need more info. What does he mean? There's value in that. And knowing who you are and just sticking with it is absolutely massive. That's massive for Coca-Cola and Nike and Lululemon, and that's massive for you as your own personal brand online.
And even if we can take it a little bit beyond being the influencer, because I come from that professional speaking market, is when you do post on Instagram and you have that consistency of voice, it gives a prospective client the confidence that you're going to show up as that person if they decide to put you in front of 1,000 or 2,000 people and pay you $5,000 or $10,000 for that hour. And so the brand consistency, influencer speaking, and employment, I don't think can be overstated.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's just who you are needs to be who you are, and lean into it and just be it. And
lean into it.
As they say, if you build it, they will come.
I've heard that before somewhere.
I've heard that somewhere. I think I'm going to trademark it. So creating and engaging. I mean, this is what Instagram is all about. This is what social media is all about. Posting frequently is a must. It can be a little strenuous sometimes. After week 3 of posting, every day or every other day, you can be like, wow, I don't have a lot of content left. But it is important. Posting daily is going to help with your engagement with your followers, but it's also going to bring new followers in. More people are going to see it. More eyes on one post means more eyes on you. More as in your profile, and people also you're making more content that fits your niche, right? So more people within your niche are going to see you, whether you're using the right hashtags and things like that. They're going to see you online and come to your profile and say, "Wow, this is somebody I want to follow along and engage with," and that's super important to what we're talking about here. And then also with that is just engaging with your audience. Find members in your community that are doing similar things on other profiles. Feel free to use your explore page and stuff like that, and go comment. That's what it's made for. I feel like a lot of times people sometimes get a little choked up or shy around the idea of like, oh, I don't want to comment on someone's profiles or picture I'm not close friends with and stuff. But that's very literally what social media was made for. And I think sort of removing yourself from your inhibitions and your preconceptions about what you should be doing, go out there and say, man, I love your work. I'll use Wayne as a perfect example. I'm certain that Wayne goes to artists out there and says, dude, this is amazing. And now you start building that community relationship. You're starting to build these connections with people. If I was into sports cars, I'm going to go like a photo of a local photographer who's taken amazing photos of a nice Dodge Charger or whatever it would be. And I'd say, man, I love your work. That's now a relationship you've built that who knows how that could replicate or, ripple effect throughout your career and throughout your life. And also it sounds simple, but just respond to the people who are already engaging with you. They're reaching out to you already. They're interested. They want to be a part of your community. Let them in. Let them in. Let it grow.
And when you respond to them, you really do deepen that connection because that's not the normal practice, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, a lot of people sometimes feel above it, or they just not even above it. They just don't really have the, sometimes people say they don't have the time, but that is so important. I mean, if you turn one person into an ambassador for you as a brand and they start talking about how much they love you, and now your game's on Saturday and they're watching with their mom and pop and they're going, oh, I love that guy's awesome. We were actually chatting on Instagram. I can't believe he answered me. Who knows how that could ripple? What if that dad now is the guy you interview with in 6 years and he says, you know what, you actually made my son's day that one time. The ripples could be endless. So just to review sort of what we chatted about and a little pass over. So what we went over, make sure that you find your niche. Be true with yourself, be honest with yourself, and find the things that you really want to love, you really want to spend time talking about and communicating with. Choose your aesthetic. Is in choose how you want to look, what you want it to visually look like. Make sure it's something that you would like to see on somebody else's profile. Pick your brand voice and be consistent. Who are you? Just be you. You could be a one word caption kind of guy with a period. You could be a full paragraph, with citations if you want, but be who you are and continue to be that. Create content frequently. You just got to. That's the whole point of Instagram, and engage with your audience. And just a few quick ones to consider, as you go into sort of maybe wanting to be an influencer, you got to make an Instagram business account. It's a very simple process in your settings. Make sure you're focusing on informative and specific bios. Write about the keywords, write about your niche, let people know exactly who you are when they jump on your page. Choose the right hashtags because there are a lot of people who will follow hashtags out there. If I'm using Wayne as the example, art, black art, pop art, all these different things. People will search that out, and it's just a nice organic way to find new people. And number 4, because I can't help a shameless plug, use ATNMY to help you find brands, and we'll talk about ATNMY marketing on our other webcast.
Very cool. Nate, I noticed you're talking a fair bit about Instagram as the main channel, things like TikTok, Snapchat, link, any others that you would find, you'd say, hey, you know what, if there's a second or third channel you should look at, what would you recommend?
I would definitely recommend for, people who enjoy making content, that have that creative bug in them. TikTok is great. I mean, they give so many tools to creators. The monetization strategies are only growing and blossoming. It's still such a young platform, and it's already taking off in that channel. So if you like creating content, the thing about TikTok is you got to be a little more creative. You got to have fun with it. But if you love having fun with it, sprint over there right now, make a profile, and start going to work. It can be a blast for you. For people that want to be a little more corporate, they like the way a Windsor feels around their neck in a suit jacket. Jump on LinkedIn. You can absolutely curate your personal brand on there. Whatever your expertise is, talk about it, follow the hashtags and trends. And it's actually a very good platform for building a brand around who you are in a little bit more of a corporate structure, but there's a lot of value in it. It may not turn into influencer opportunities, like the other ones, but it will definitely almost always have a way to turn into some corporate opportunities, which is equally as important.
And I was just going to suggest for LinkedIn, that's often your online resume. So if we're thinking of career opportunities and branding, that's where often the first place they check before they decide they're going to call you or not for the interview.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. That's a great overview, Nate. I really appreciate that. If I was to ask you, and we didn't talk about this, so I'm not trying to side you just, I could just say, please, Scott, no, I've already had 3 hours of questions and answers. I'm done. But if I was to ask, tell me about your brand. If you had to describe Nate's brand, what would you suggest?
It's been an interesting year for, I guess, my online brand. Through May and June, as the Black Lives Matter reawoke, I began sharing some of my poetry, my writing that I'd never really done before, and that was a bit of a terrifying experience. But it was so well received. Even CFLPA members that reached out to me that I never talked to before with a thank you sort of message and things like that was super impactful. So I do think there's a bit of that, activist, especially more on Twitter, activist and outspoken, wanting to be a bit of a leader in that sense. And then also, I still like to keep some of my humor. I mean, I promise I make funny stories on Instagram, so it's a few different things. I mean, I haven't leaned too far into sort of the tech entrepreneur thing because I think I have places I can leave that sort of on LinkedIn and stuff. And I really just want to be my true self on Instagram, which is, I'm passionate about a lot of things, especially, social activism, but I'm also a moderately funny person who really loves his dog jokes. So, dog jokes and activism, if that's a weird combo, if you ever heard one, but I'm committed to it. So here we are.
Hey, you've lit up our day for today with the 2 podcasts that we're doing here. So thanks very much for that. Nate, if folks wanted to reach out to you, just what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. You can reach me at any time at Nate Behar 11 on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to talk a little bit more turkey with ATNMY, we're at ATNMY_ on Instagram. And our social media team is even quicker at responding than I am. So feel free to go visit there.
Hey, you've been really generous with your time here. So that's part of your brand too. Thanks very much.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Okay. Cheers.